Hi, this is SEGA, and you're listening to the SEGA Lounge.
Welcome to the SEGA Lounge, a podcast dedicated to our love for all things SEGA, be it the games, the music, or the community. I'm KC. In each episode, I'll be talking to different guests and sharing their projects and their passion for SEGA. Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of the SEGA Lounge. Thank you so much for listening. We've got a great show this week, and since this is basically a Portuguese episode, with both myself and my guests hailing from this beautiful little piece of land, I think it's about time we catch up with where people are listening to this show from in a segment I like to call The Great Battle of Lounge Listening Countries 2020. Our top three remains pretty much the same, with Sweden at number 3, the UK at number 2, and the US at number 1. So I think it's much more interesting to acknowledge and say hello to some of the newer countries that were invaded by the SEGA Lounge podcast. In no particular order, let's say hello to Nigeria, Panama, Greece, Denmark, and Kuwait. That's pretty awesome. Thanks for listening, everyone, and I hope everyone's safe wherever you are in the world. I'll check back in a few weeks and see what other nations we have reached. And now, back to your regularly scheduled podcast episode. This week I'm joined by Gonçalo Tordo, aka SEGA, with a 1 instead of an I. He is a Portuguese YouTuber who caught my eye because of the detailed nature of his videos on both retro games and newer games being released for older consoles. As you'll learn from our conversation, a lot of research goes into his videos, and that's one of the aspects that I appreciate in SEGA's Retro Corner. He's got a pretty interesting background as a gamer, and he seems to be a pretty knowledgeable person. But can he get the SEGA Lounge seal of approval? Keep listening to find out. Hello SEGA, welcome to the SEGA Lounge.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. How are you today?
I'm pretty good. What about you, David?
I'm great. Thank you so much for coming. It's a pleasure to have you on the show, especially because I think this is the first time that I have a main guest that is just like me, a Portuguese person. So maybe we'll just do the rest of the interview in Portuguese and let everyone wondering what we're talking about.
Yes, we are an underrated people, aren't we?
Okay, so you're here to talk a little bit about your YouTube channel. We'll get into that in a bit, but let's start with a brief introduction. So would you like to tell us how you got into video games, what were your first games, your first platforms, and all that?
Well, that is a bit of an interesting story. Maybe not for a fellow Portuguese. Maybe mine is similar to yours. But I've always thought it was interesting that, in my opinion, our gaming history differs quite a lot from what I've seen from the United States, Canada, the UK, even France or other similar nations. For example, while many were playing either on the NES, Portugal was very heavy on the Master System, but that wasn't even my first console. My first console, and a lot of my friends, was a family game, which was an 8-bit clone of the NES, completely unofficial. But now here's the thing. The console was sold on retail stores as if it were an official product, and it cost about, I was going to say it cost about as much as an actual console, but it was slightly cheaper than an NES, but still pretty expensive. Like, compared to today, it would have cost like maybe 150, 200 euro if I were to like do a very rough comparison. So I had that very unusual start for the rest of the world. But a lot of my friends began in a similar manner. They had their own NES clones, as they were pretty popular here.
Yeah.
Those whose parents were a bit more willing to spend more money would get them either an NES or a Master System or maybe an 8-bit computer. But that is how I started. Um, the cool thing about it was that it had 42 Famicom games in its memory. And yes, I do mean Famicom. They were the Japanese versions.
Yeah.
Though they were mostly like very early Famicom games. We're talking like the original Super Mario Brothers, the arcade game in the Famicom version. I had one of the Donkey Kong games. I believe it was Donkey Kong 3. A bunch of arcade games I did not know. I had Joust, Pole Position, very early Famicom games.
Did it have
And
Contra
yeah,
as well?
no,
Or
it didn't. Though my
no?
friends did. No, mine was apparently the earlier model, which did not have Contra.
Oh.
Some of those later bootlegs did come with Contra, but not mine,
Yeah,
sadly.
because I remember I had a friend, my best friend
Hmm.
actually had one of those,
Hmm.
which were very popular at the time, just like you said. And I remember we played Contra a lot on that,
Oh
and
yeah.
it came in the console's memory. So
Exactly.
yeah,
And the interesting thing about it is that when you and I say we played Contra, we really do mean Contra, not Probotector,
yeah,
as it was a Japanese version, so it was completely uncensored.
yeah, definitely. So that
It's
was your first experience was with the amazing Family Game.
yes. I still have it with me. It still works actually. I took very good care of it.
I think last week or 2 weeks ago, I was talking to a friend, and I
Hmm.
actually remember that specific console that my other friend had, and I remember in a shopping mall near my house,
Hmm.
there was a store that sold a lot of those. I think bootleg cartridges. I don't think they were
Yes.
official.
Yes.
Many of them with like 20, 40 games. So
Yes.
uh,
Completely bootleg.
completely
And
bootleg. And I remember there was the door of that store was
hmm.
filled top to bottom with loads of those cartridges. Some were
Yes.
yellow, some were red, I
Yes.
think. So amazing.
Yellow was the most common color. And yes, those were bootleg cartridges. They're shaped like Japanese Famicom cartridges, though
Exactly.
I have no idea if they run on a Famicom or if my family game actually runs Famicom games because the console works, but the cartridge slot doesn't. It's an old system. It got pretty abused by me when I was a kid, so the cartridge port
Ah, that's a
is
shame.
broken.
You should try
Um,
to get that fixed. And that's a good concept for a future video.
I've tried actually, but it is kind of difficult to find people who would know how to work on this system because there's no documentation for
Oh yeah.
it. So it
Hmm.
became a bit difficult. But the other cool thing is that there was a kiosk near where I lived. They basically just sold like magazines, newspapers, school material, whatever. But they also had a bunch of those Famiclone cartridges, either for sale or for rent. Which is yeah, okay, you know what I'm
Oh
talking about.
yeah.
Like they, that for those who don't know, this sort of thing was very common in our country back then. So so basically, you could rent like a game for 100 escudos a day, which roughly translates to 50 cents.
Yeah.
So 50 cents of a year, I mean.
Hmm.
So like 5 days would mean €2.50, and that's how I got to play like Mario 3, Mario 2, Mario 1, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They also had a lot of those pirated NES games you sometimes see on YouTube, like say a Sonic gaming on the NES
Yeah.
or Street Fighter 2 for the. I played like 4 different versions of Street Fighter for the NES, all of them bootleg, of course.
Amazing. Those were simpler but very interesting times.
Indeed. And sometime later, and this is what I think also helped round out my general gaming experience. My father, he bought a computer for his job for work. It was an 386 IBM, I believe, IBM compatible, and he bought it for work. But as you can imagine, me and my brother used a lot for games, and that also introduced me to PC gaming, which of course all of my games were pirated. I don't think I ever bought a PC game back then, even though I had like tons of them. So on one hand, I had my console experience. On the other hand, I had my PC experience where I played games like point and click adventure games, strategy games, Western RPGs, and generally that's how I learned the English language as well.
Hmm. Yeah, we actually did learn a lot of English
We did.
from games.
We did. I used to have a friend back in fifth grade. He learned English from playing Resident Evil, I believe. And for me, it was playing Dune for the PC, the first Dune game,
Hmm.
and Dune, not Doom,
Yeah, Dune. Yeah.
yeah, based on the book, and a point and click adventure game called The Legend of Kyrandia 2, which was like with this blonde girl or whatever. Like it was completely in English, and like I remember the first time I played it, I could only like make out like bits and pieces of each sentence. As you know, point and click adventure games are very text heavy, very dialogue
Hmm.
heavy. So it's like a character. I distinctly remember when I played the game a few years later. By that time, I was already an adult. That oh man, I remember reading this line and like only understanding half of it. Like I was reading like the girl's spell book as she's a witch, and like I could only make out like half of the ingredients. Like I was like 7 years old or 6 years old, whatever. I'm like okay, and I was like okay, orange. Okay, orange is probably or orange the fruit. It's probably a laranja, an orange fruit. But what the heck is a stump or a a gnarly tree? What's a gnarly tree? I'm like just I just played like blind for like months as a kid.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's a great experience. I shared that experience as well. That's great. So, did you ever get the Sega consoles as a kid, or just
Believe it or
later?
not, I did not. I got them later. Basically, even though I had that NES, the NES clone, my parents really didn't like me or my brother playing games. They basically thought that they were a waste of time, that we should focus on school, that sort of thing. And but I did play a lot of Super Nintendo and Mega Drive on with friends, as thankfully I had friends who had one or the other, and it was very common to have long play sessions at their houses. Or when they came to my house, I was the friend with the computer, so they didn't have a computer, so they would play games like Wolfenstein 3D, for example. So I did play a lot of Mega Drive and Super Nintendo that way, and Master System, of course, and later the Sega Saturn. The Dreamcast I actually didn't play until I was a full adult by then, which I bought it years after the console died. Um, but yeah, I now own every Sega console, but I've bought them as an adult. As a kid, I used to think Nintendo was better. I was in the minority back then, as most kids were Sega fans. But then as I grew up, I started playing a lot of emulators, like a lot of emulators. Like I started playing literally every emulator I could find. I played like hundreds of NES games, Super Nintendo games, and then eventually I was like, okay, let's go try the Genesis or the Mega Drive or the Master System, and I was in shock. I was like, oh my god, these games are way better than I remember. Like I remember thinking like I don't know, Final Fight was a better game, but then when you play even the original Streets of Rage, even if the graphics are worse, the game is so much better. The gameplay is better, the music is better, the moves are more satisfying, and I just kind of fell in love with Sega and Sega's quirkiness.
Yeah, that's great. That's an interesting take on the whole thing because, as you said, in Portugal and in other
Mm-hmm.
parts of Europe, many people were Sega fans. So that's a different
Mm-hmm.
experience, and that's always nice to have people here with different experiences. And that's the end of our interview because you didn't play Sega as a kid. So bye bye.
Well, goodbye,
I'm
folks.
joking. But yeah, but that's a different perspective on Sega games as well, right? When you start playing them as an adult or later in
Mm-hmm.
your life, you get a different and a fresh
I mean,
perspective. I think.
I did play them a lot as a kid. This is probably
Yeah,
something kids that aren't used to. But even back then, we would actually lend the consoles to our friends. Like I
yeah.
had a friend who lent me his own Mega Drive and several games for like 3 weeks or 4 weeks or maybe a month, and they would lend their Super Nintendo to someone else. Like this sort of trading was very common. And
Hmm.
I remember getting addicted to Sonic 3 plus Knuckles, loving RoboCop versus Terminator even as a kid. I love that game, still do. Hating Terminator 2, which was awful. Um, then when a friend of mine lent me a Super Nintendo, I played a lot of Ultimate Mortal Kombat. No, wait, Mortal Kombat 3? Ultimate? I think it was Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Not sure which one was on the Super Nintendo. Played a lot of Killer Instinct, Contra, Probotector actually, Probotector, Castlevania 4 as well. So it was pretty interesting in that regard. But yeah, the consoles weren't mine. Eventually, I had to give them away and give them back. I mean, but most of my time was spent playing the my computer, and sometime later the Game Boy.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Did you ever play the Game Gear?
Yes, I played the Game Gear. Like I remember being very jealous of my friends who had one. Like I had a Game Boy because my brother wanted one, my older brother. Um, and like the first game we got was a Star Trek game, which he chose, and I hated it. I still think it's not a particularly great game, but I've learned to appreciate it, I suppose. My second game was Metroid 2, which I also did not like at the time. I wanted something like Contra or R-Type or whatever.
Was it too
Not
slow
It was
or?
it was too confusing for me. I was always getting
Oh,
lost, and like I was not at that age where I was still like maybe in second grade or third, maybe fourth grade, not sure. I'm going to be a little bit iffy on the dates here,
yeah,
but I think at most I was in fourth grade. It was still too confusing for me.
yeah. Too much
Um,
backtracking
yeah,
and
exactly.
right.
I wanted to shoot people and fly spaceships and destroy spaceships and whatever. And then this friend of mine had the Game Gear, and we were always playing Desert Strike. I'm like,
Oh,
oh my god, this is amazing! It's in color, it looks great, it's so good, it's backlit.
yeah. I didn't have a Game Gear as well, or
Hmm.
either. So I didn't have a Game Gear or a Game Boy. But
Ah, the
I think
shame.
two of my friends had a Game Gear.
Hmm.
One of them especially, I spent some time with him, and I remember playing Sonic 2, I believe.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
very hard. Uh,
It's actually harder on the Game Gear than it
it,
is on the Master System.
yeah, because of the screen size, it makes it
Yeah,
harder.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
but I loved how it looked. So
Hmm.
amazing. Yeah. Uh,
Like graphics was amazing, and also my dad he had both like a universal power charger which worked on the Game Boy but also on the Game Gear. So that meant we couldn't play without using batteries. We just plug the power charger onto a power outlet, uh, insert the right voltage settings or polarity settings or whatever, and bam, you were playing Game Gear or Game Boy anytime you wanted without wasting batteries. It was amazing.
awesome. That's great because those were battery
Yes.
eaters,
Either, e- e-
especially the
either
Game Gear.
Yeah, but either one of those were terrible at battery consumption. Terrible.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so fast forward to a few years ago, and you
Hmm.
started your YouTube channel. First of all, why?
Yes.
I say a few years ago. That's what I think. Maybe that's not the
Well, it is a
reality.
few years. I started my channel in 2016, July
Mm-hmm.
2016. In fact, in a couple of months, it's going to be its fourth anniversary.
Yeah.
Um, Now, why? Well, the first thing is, back in 2007 or eight, I became a huge fan of the that fad that was the video game YouTuber. I watched a lot of Angry Video Game Nerd. I watched a lot of other YouTubers like the Spoony Experiment, or a lot of YouTubers whose names have now been mostly forgotten by history. Like I could say names like Jedi or God, I can't even remember most of them anymore. Like people who basically have long since deleted their channels, basically. And I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot about the videos. I thought they were funny. They were educational. But I noticed something as I was watching them, and that is a lot of YouTubers, even today, but especially back then, they were very Nintendo centric, very United States centric. Even the British ones seemed to adapt towards a more American audience, I suppose. And that always kind of bothered me because I was like, okay, you guys are talking a lot about the NES, but you do know the Master System is pretty great, right? Or the Mega Drive, or the Sega Saturn, or PC with MS DOS, or Amiga. Like, there's a lot of really good stuff out there, and you get to a point where you're like, okay, guys, I get it. The Guardian Legend is a good game, or Legend of Zelda is a good game, or Batman for the NES is a good game. I don't need another video on this. I've already seen like 50 other YouTubers talk about this. Let's try something else. Why don't we talk about, say, Power Strike 2 on the Master System? Why don't we talk about Shadowrun on the Mega Drive? Why don't we talk about, let's say, Toriko on the Sega Saturn? Like, or there's all of these great games, all of this world of video gaming that you guys are not exploring, or that I feel that you're being maybe perhaps a bit too narrow in your field of view. And another thing that bothered me is that when they did cover those games, it was always with a lot of caveats, like, oh yeah, this game on the Master System, it's like this game on the NES, but not as good. Oh, this game on the on the Sega Genesis, it's like this game on the Super Nintendo, but not as good. It's like, oh, Streets of Rage, it's like Final Fight on the Super Nintendo, but not as good. And I'm like, what? Okay, outside of graphics, in what way is the original Final Fight on the Super Nintendo better than Streets of Rage? I'm sorry, but no. The music is better. You can play as two players. You can have like I believe either 12 or 15 different enemies on screen at the same time, where the Super Nintendo only allowed for two or three, I believe. Like, it's not even a contest in my opinion, and it just kept going. Like Contra Hardcore, which is my favorite Sega Genesis game. Oh, this game is terrible. It's so hard, and I'm like, don't you guys love the original Contra and Super C and Contra 3, which are also really difficult games? I mean, they may not seem all that difficult to you now, but that's because you grew up on them. You already know where everything is. And this is a new Contra, so you think it's really hard. But honestly, to me, Contra Hardcore is no more difficult than the NES games or Contra 3 for the Super Nintendo. It's just people didn't know the game, so they don't know its quirks or where the enemies are going to come from, and they have to memorize it, just like we memorized those games when we were kids.
Yeah.
So I felt there was a lot of injustice being done to anything that wasn't Nintendo, and I don't mean just Sega. Like, I could literally draw the same argument regarding the TurboGrafx 16, for example. There's a lot of injustice in how that console is treated. It's a really good console, in my opinion, but I'm not very familiar with the system, or at least not enough to make a channel and talk about it, or like how PC games and MS-DOS gaming was completely ignored. Like, I would say it wasn't until like maybe lazy game reviews that we finally started getting someone who talks about PC games, someone more established. It just kind of felt like we're focusing on this one specific aspect or this one specific company of video gaming, and we're ignoring the options, all of the other systems that comprise gaming.
Maybe people were talking about what they knew as well, right? So
Hmm.
they shared their own experiences, and obviously pandering to the biggest part of the audience that they could find, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's mostly that the case
To be
with
fair, I do.
most YouTube channels or even
Yeah.
podcasts and even game news outlets as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
To be
always a bit
fair.
of pandering towards
Hmm.
the biggest chunk of the audience, which is fair.
Yeah, I do understand their strategy. I mean, I tend to go pretty niche in my opinion, and I do pay for it. As let's be honest, I don't get that many views, or at least not as many as I wish I did. Um, but it still feels like it's doing a bit of a disservice if we're doing these channels or these videos. I do think we also owe it to ourselves to not just talk about the games we know, but also the games we don't know. Like, for example, I keep reviewing all of these modern games for retro systems. I don't
Yeah.
know any of them. These are all new games to me and new experiences. And
Hmm.
I look at them with a critical eye and try to treat them as such.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's a good perspective, and people need these fresh takes on video games as well to learn more, right? For I'm all for hashtag Seg Education. So not just
Damn
Seg
right.
Education, but other companies as well, other video game companies. Um, game education, game
Game
education,
education. I like that.
game education. I don't know.
Game education.
Maybe I don't know. People tweet us at the Sega Lounge and let us know the correct hashtag. Anyway, that's a good point. So your channel has been
Yeah.
focusing mostly, I think, on retro video games,
Yep.
but not only that. So as you just said, you have, and those are some of the videos that I enjoy the most. The ones that you focus on newer games that are being released on older systems. From your perspective, which ones are the ones that you enjoy doing the most? The retro games, the newer ones, the everything.
Yeah, I what I enjoy doing the most are reviews, regardless of whether
Mm-hmm.
they're retro games or newer games, because when I start playing it, to me a game is a game. Like I'm not gonna look at the year it came out, although I am of course always thankful that new games are being launched for these old systems. I love that the Mega Drive is essentially getting more exclusives than the Xbox these years. I think that's infinitely funny to me. Um, but I really like I just generally like games regardless of which year they came out or which system they came out. I often have work friends or who ask me, but Stika, can you like play a PS4 game and then go to a Mega Drive game like that? And I'm like, yeah, sure, it's fine. I mean, a game is a game as long as it's fun, as long as I enjoy it. Like to me both games are pretty. The PS4 is pretty in a realistic kind of way, or in a very aesthetical certain, or if it's like say an anime game or whatever, in a very aesthetical point of view. Whereas an 8-bit or a 16-bit game is very pretty from a 2D point of view, a very sprite based perspective, which I also really enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. Okay. Uh, have you or considering all the videos that you've done in the past few years, do you
Hmm.
have like let's say someone just discovered your channel, so our
Yeah.
listeners are learning about you for the first time. Which
Hmm.
would be the video that you would recommend people watch
Uh,
first?
Good question. Well, the one that would. Oof, that's a good question. Let me think. The video that I'm most proud of is actually a bit of a mini documentary on Final Fantasy. The one that I enjoyed making the most, or maybe that just shows my fun side or my channel's quirky side the most, would be a video on Paradise Cafe, which I'm going to assume you know about the game.
Mm-hmm.
a very unique game of ours. But if I mean just like how is my channel in general, it would probably be like one of my most recent reviews. It's what most of what I do is reviews, and the other types of videos are variations or just different types of videos I do to keep it interesting. Sometimes interesting to my audience, other times interesting to myself. As while I'm like making reviews, sometimes I also get bored of always reviewing games, and I'm like, okay, I need to do something else. So let's take a look at marketing campaigns and analyze them from a marketing perspective, or let's analyze what happened with the Wonder Boy series in Brazil, or let me tell it let me show the world how the PC version of Golden Axe is the best version ever, because you can play as a dragon riding a dragon that shoots dragons while attacking thieves that drop dragons, and the bonfire is a dragon, and my enemies are dragons, and it's just, I love it.
Yeah. So
I don't
those
know if
are
you've
those
seen.
are fun. I
I don't know.
haven't seen that one.
Oh, you should.
So
I've already spoiled the surprise, but
yeah.
yes, you can you can literally change the game and be a dragon riding a dragon that shoots dragons.
Awesome. That's amazing. Okay, so I know what I'm gonna do next. That's my entertainment for the evening.
It's a
Uh,
small video, don't worry.
awesome. So yeah, one of the things that I think we should probably mention before we started recording, you
Hmm.
realized that I had interviewed someone a few years ago,
Yes,
right? Fonzie, uh,
yes,
who is famous or infamous
infamous.
actually
Yes,
for Peprium, a game which
yeah,
you have covered in length.
extensively.
Yes,
Yes.
in your channel. Would you like to tell us briefly
Oh
what the
man.
hell happened to Peprium?
I was actually ready to ask you for his contacts because I tried getting in touch with Fonzie so hard for those videos, but to no success. What happened to Peprium? Honestly, I would say a lot of mismanagement, a lot of pride, and a lot of feature creep and overambition. Like, as I talked to the developers and learned more about Peprium and the things it was going to have or what it was going to do, like, even if you just put it all on paper, it's going to become pretty clear that this game is not physically feasible on the Mega Drive. Like, the game was going to have an enhancement chip on the cartridge, a very expensive enhancement chip, I might add. It was promised to produce graphics on the level of a Neo Geo. At one point, they were considering the game having Wi-Fi connection. Like, it was pretty out there. It's at some point you're supposed to start reeling back in and stop having these ideas that yes, they're fun, but they're not feasible. And then,
Megalomaniac.
yes, megalomaniac is another way of putting them. And then when you get to the point where there was a lot of internal strife between the founders, and then one of them left, and in my opinion, the wrong one left. I'm sorry to say this, and the one that stayed kept trying to implement these megalomaniac ideas while also not being a very good at teamwork, not being very good at delegating tasks, generally maintaining a very secretive and sometimes even hostile environment. It it's it it was a mess. It was definitely a mess. And I know it seems like I'm pointing fingers, but and I know that, and I try to be neutral during my videos, and some of the people who I interviewed even praised Fonzie. But it seems to me that he should never have a position of power, or at least a position of power where there is no one to reel him back in or no one to keep him controlled. Because from what I've seen, he actually is very good at his work. He's an amazing artist. He made that amazing Paprium trailer, which I think we've probably all
Hmm.
seen by now. He's very good at his image work. At the website was very pretty. The like everything looked very professional. It looked like if you went to their website back then, or just the way they made their images, everything looked like something out of a AAA studio back in 2010 in terms of visual aesthetics. But but there needs to be someone who also actually does the work or who ensures that projects get finished, and that was Tulio, who left the studio, and
Yeah.
from there on, Watermelon kind of became a mess.
Hmm. Yeah. So I definitely recommend people check out the what you your all of your research on this topic.
Yes,
Uh,
it's called What Happened to Peprium. It's three parts.
yeah. So I imagine extensive research that it had to be done for this series of videos. So and
the the
interviews and whatnot.
the videos took me almost a whole year to make. Actually,
Hmm.
I kept working on them while I worked on other videos. Like, I was interviewing people, I was trying to get her contacts. I was trying to read up on what happened. But the hardest part, like, I'm really proud of the videos, and I'm proud that people enjoy them, that people enjoy them so much. But they really were the hardest videos I've ever made. Like, I have hours and hours of interviews and like stuff I had to cut out and decide, okay, there's no point in mentioning this part again because this other person already mentioned. But then you gotta like search through hours and hours of audio to find the right person who said the right thing at the right time. It was excruciating editing all of that. Absolutely excruciating.
Yeah, I imagine. So people definitely check those out. SEGA, there's a tradition here on the SEGA
Yes.
Lounge,
Oh,
which is called quick shots.
okay.
Not alcohol. I'm sorry. No.
Damn
It's
it.
just basically a quick fire round. Okay, so I
Okay.
will just throw some words or some phrases at you, and
Mm-hmm.
what I want you to do is to tell me the first thing that pops into your head.
Ooh, I feel like I'm in a psychiatrist's office.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yes, welcome to Dr. Casey's office. So, are you ready for quick shots?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Let's start with retro games.
Sega. Okay, that was
Okay,
instant.
good one. And that's good because the next one is Sega.
Okay. Now that was because now I went in the loop. Suddenly you said Sega and I thought retro games. Okay. But the second word that came up was Mega Drive, so I'm gonna go with that.
that's good. That's good.
Don't tell
YouTube.
me that's the third word. Oh, okay.
No, YouTube.
Oh man, frustrating. So frustrating. Although to be fair, the reason why I'm saying this is because I launched the video about an hour and a half ago, and according to YouTube analytics, it's the worst performing video I've had in a long time. So that might also color my the first word that just came into my mind.
Yeah. Okay. One more before the last one,
Okay.
and I'm gonna have to go with this one. Peprium.
Doomed. Doomed. I'm sorry, people. It's not gonna happen. The
It's
guys, the guys,
over.
the guy's been missing in action for years. The website is down. I know that sometimes the art director says that the game is around or whatever. And to be fair, Louis Martins, the art director, he's a great guy. I know some people have harbored some hate for him because he's very encouraging of the project. You have to understand he's not encouraging the project because of he's a bad person or whatever. He's encouraging the project because he's a really nice guy and he really wants to see it to fruition. But
Mhm.
the game is not going to come out, guys. Forget it. I also pre-ordered the game. I even pre-ordered the manga. I know what's it like losing, I believe, 90 euro or maybe more. I can't remember how much both of those items cost. Um, it's just not gonna happen.
Oh,
It is.
that's the reality of
Indeed.
things. Yeah. So last one,
Okay.
sticker.
Retro corner.
Okay, very
Sorry, but
good.
that one is pretty much automatic. It's like my closing statements on every video. They're all automatic at this point. Hey everyone, thank you for watching Stinka's Retro Corner. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. All that fun social media stuff.
Yeah.
Just it's automatic. It's
Yeah.
complete. I've said it's like I didn't make one recording and then use it for all. No. I say that in every video.
Awesome. Okay, so stick up. We're gonna take a quick break here to
Okay.
hear from our sponsor, Nestle. No,
Okay.
still haven't heard back from Nestle. Still waiting on that sponsorship. Anyway, when we come back, I have another surprise for you.
Sounds
This
good.
one's does it though?
Uh
We'll
oh.
see. We'll see.
Oh crap. I'm calling my lawyers. Give me a second then.
No one can help you now.
Look. I was young. I was in college. I didn't know what I was doing. Okay. Okay.
don't go anywhere. We have a very, very interesting video of
Oh dear
Stickers
God. Oh dear
during
God.
his college years. No, that's not it.
Oh dear God. SEGA gone wild.
Tired of listening to the same music on the radio over and over again? Wouldn't it be great if you could have a station that played your favorite Sega music and remixes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Luckily, there's Radio SEGA, an online radio station dedicated to the best in Sega and Atlas music. And you can request your favorites at any time. Plus, Radio SEGA has live shows every single day of the week, including a first-hand preview of the Sega Lounge. You can find the full schedule of shows and listen to the station by going to radiosega.net. Radio SEGA, playing the best Sega music 24/7. Welcome back.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, so you're drinking some water, right? That's
allegedly.
very important. Yeah, please.
Allegedly, yes.
Yeah, you should keep hydrated for what comes next.
Oh dear God, no.
So every week, SEGA, all the guests have to go through what I call the Sega Lounge Challenge.
Now that you know our guests, it's time to put them to the test. It's the moment we've waited for, and the moment they dread.
Welcome to your doom.
I mean, welcome to the Sega Lounge Challenge.
Ooh.
It can be anything we want, or I
Okay.
want, in this case.
Okay.
This week, I'm going to keep with the theme we've been going on for the past few weeks. It's going to be a music-themed challenge.
Interesting.
So you host your retro corner, right, on
Yes.
YouTube.
Yeah.
So I thought let's go and have a roulette of retro Sega music.
Oh, I see where this is going.
So I have, and this is easy stuff, or maybe not. I have 10 clips
Okay.
from Mega Drive and Master System games.
Okay, that should make it easier, thankfully.
Yeah. So all the clips are 10-second long. 10
Okay.
seconds long. So what you need to do is simply to tell me the game
Okay.
these sound clips are from. So if you can identify the level or the title of the track,
Mm-hmm.
awesome. More power
Okay.
to you, but you just need to get a point. You just need to tell me what game
What game?
this sound
Okay.
clip is from. Okay.
Super Mario. Let's go. Sorry. Sorry. What?
Is that your final answer?
No.
Uh,
No, it is not. It is not.
Okay, so we have 1 to 10, and since this is a roulette, you can just choose one number at random, and I'll play one of these. They are all numbered.
Lucky number 7.
Lucky number 7. You all go for lucky number 7. and
Okay. In that
maybe
case,
you all fail.
in that case, I will go to unlucky number 3.
Okay. So, number 3, let's take a listen.
Oh, that's easy. That's Golden Axe. That's Golden Axe on the Turtle Village, I believe. Second level.
So
Am I correct?
Your answer for number 3 is Golden X,
Yes, Golden Axe.
for sure?
For sure. You're not going to make me nervous. I know it's Golden Axe.
So, SEGA, your
Yes.
answer is correct. Of
Yay!
course. Turtle
I'm pretty
Village.
sure it is,
Turtle
isn't it?
Village
Yeah.
1. Yeah.
Yes.
Golden Eggs. Good job. Well done. Okay. So number 3 is done. What's next?
Let's go to number 5.
Number 5. Oh, such a good one. They're all good ones. Let's take a listen.
Phantasy Star, the title screen. No, wait, not Title Spin. Phantasy Star, the World Theme. Sorry. It's Phantasy Star, the World Theme. I know it. I was a little confused there for a second, but I corrected myself in time.
I know it, he says. So your answer is Phantasy Star?
Yes, the World Theme.
Final answer?
Yes, that's my final answer.
Your answer is correct.
2 for 2.
Yes, good job.
So far, so good.
You're good. You're not getting nervous with
Not at
my
all.
questions and all of that. Okay. So let's take it up a notch. So 3,
Ooh.
5. What's next?
8. Just so we don't say 7.
Let's go with number 8.
Oh, that's also easy. Restart the shooting star on level 1. Restart the shooting star, level 1.
I'm pausing for dramatic effect. So
Should I add a little drum maybe?
yes, we can have a little drum. Actually, no, I like a serious drum.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. That is correct.
Damn right it is.
Well done. Very good. Very good
So far,
job.
so good.
So far, so good. You're doing great. So, will we have a perfect score tonight? 3 for 3 so far. So 3, 5, 8. What's next?
Number 10.
Number 10. I think this is a good one. This is an easy one. Let's take a listen.
It's Wonder Boy 1, Wonder Boy 1 for the Master System. I would say it's level 1 theme, but let's be honest, that's like the song that plays in almost every level, and it drives you crazy. Like that song drives you crazy. You're always listening to it, and it's so repetitive. But yes, it's Wonder Boy. The first one.
Yes, it is. Good job. Okay, almost halfway there. 3, 5, 8, 10. What's next?
Let's go back to 1 this time.
Back to 1. Very easy, very easy.
Alex Kidd Miracle World. You know, there's actually lyrics to that song.
Yeah, Sutakura, Sutakura, Sutakura.
Yes.
Yes. So that's correct, of course. I already gave it away. Very good job. 5 for 5. We could have a perfect score.
I'm going for the record.
Amazing. Yes, maybe. What's next? 3, 5, 8, 10, 10, 1. So you have 2.
Fine. Let's do 7. Fine.
Okay, let me just look at the list. Maybe this
Ooh.
could possibly, potentially be the hardest one. It was not
Ooh.
intentional. Let's
Ooh.
see. Number 7.
I know this song. It's from Quackshot, I believe. It's Quackshot, the city theme, I believe. Am I correct? Now this one I'm not sure, but I do believe it's Quackshot, the city theme.
So this particular track is
Yes.
from a Disney game
Yes.
on a SEGA system.
Yes.
On the Mega Drive or Genesis. You said Quackshot,
Quackshot. Yes.
starring Donald Duck.
Yes, that's the one.
The correct game was
Uh-oh.
Quackshot.
Ah,
Well done.
There we go.
Duckburg. This was
Yes,
the Duckburg theme,
that's
the
it.
first
The
stage.
The city
Yeah.
theme, yeah. I will say that game never really clicked with me, though.
Yeah, I know it doesn't click for many people. I actually love that game. I never owned this. Never owned the Quackshot. My friend lent it to me. I think 2 or 3 times, and every time I played it the whole game through, and I love
You're
it.
you're probably not gonna guess what my favorite Disney game on the Mega Drive is. Go ahead, try and guess.
Mm, my favorite Disney game on the Mega Drive would probably be World of Illusion, but
Good
if
choice.
if yours is not an evident choice, I would say like The Lion King.
No,
What?
but it is a good try. Donald Duck and Maui Mallard.
Okay, okay.
I
Never
really
really got
enjoyed
into
it.
that one. Yeah.
I really enjoy that game. It's super difficult, but I really enjoy it.
Okay, that's a good choice though. I wouldn't have guessed it. Okay, so wait, 3, 5, 8, 10, 1, 7. Only 4 left.
Oh,
So 2, 4, 6, and 9.
let's go with 4.
4. Oh, this is so easy.
Outrun. It's Outrun. I just can't tell if it's regular Master System Outrun or if it's 3D Outrun. Because I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you know this, but there's actually 2 different Outrun soundtracks on the Master System. Oh,
Mhm.
4 if you count the FM audios.
Yeah.
But it is Outrun. Just not sure if it's the regular or 3D Outrun. But I'm gonna say regular Outrun.
Why?
I'm honestly, well, to be completely honest, because the answers so far have been relatively simple, and I don't think you're going to throw a curveball with Outrun 3D. Although it would have been a really, really evil curveball, a very evil curveball, but also a very intelligent one.
Yeah. I didn't. I sometimes make these games very, very, very hard. Um,
Oh no, I want to
n-
try the
uh,
hard ones.
Not intentionally, I have to say. I threw some balls in there, but it's not intentional. But I didn't know what to expect from you, so I tried to make it hard-ish, but not too much. This is indeed Outrun. This is Splash Wave, which
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken, Splash Wave, with it being such a classic tune, I don't think this is in Outrun 3D. Actually,
it isn't
I
really
don't think so.
okay.
I think Outrun 3D has Magical Sound
Magical
Shower
sound
and
shower.
Last Wave, but not Splash Wave or
Oh,
Passing Breeze. If I'm not
oh,
mistaken,
I
I
did
could be
not know
wrong,
that.
but I think so.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Don't quote me on that, though.
Okay.
I'm often wrong.
How dare you?
So, 2, uh, 2 or 9? Wait. No. How many are we missing?
We're missing 3, I believe.
Yeah, we're missing 3. So, 2,
Before it was 2, 4, 6, or
uh,
9.
no, 2,
Which we had.
6, and 9. 2, 6, and 9, yes.
Okay, 2, 6, and 9. Okay. Let's go with the one. Let's go with 6.
6. Okay, another very interesting one. Let's take a listen.
Wow, it's. I can only think of the Japanese game, which is SNESka. I can't remember the Western name right now, but it's
Aztec
SNESka.
Adventure?
Yes, thank you. That's it. But the Japanese name is SNESka. That's why I couldn't think of the Western name. Am I correct?
Are you sure?
Wait, it's either that or Psycho Fox. Damn it. Okay, this one. Can you play it again?
I can. I shouldn't, but I can.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's either Nesca or Psycho
Let's
Fox.
take a listen. So talk to me. What's the
Ooh,
reasoning behind this?
It sounds like NES, like Aztec Adventure, but I'm not entirely sure. Damn it!
I need an answer.
No, you're killing me. You're killing me. Because the sound engine sounds like. Damn it. I am going to say. Okay, am I allowed to swear in your?
You are. I can edit this out later. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. I am going to say Psycho Fox. I think.
Final
Wait,
answer?
wait. No. No. Yes, Psycho Fox. Let's go with Psycho Fox.
So your
Yes,
final
Psycho
answer
Fox.
is
Psycho Fox.
Psycho
Yes.
Fox.
Psycho Fox.
Mm-hmm. You had a choice, apparently, in your head
Yes.
between Psycho Fox
Yes.
and Aztec Adventure.
Yes.
So, Aztec Adventure, The Golden Road to Paradise,
Mm-hmm.
was a Master System game released in Japan in 1987.
Yes.
In the rest of the world, 1988.
Yes.
Number 6 was indeed a track not from Aztec Adventure, but from Psycho Fox.
Oh, that
Good
was close.
job. Good
That
job.
was close.
That was very close. The title screen.
Yes, like for some reason I thought of it like I don't know. I guess they just have very very similar high pitches. I suppose it just really reminded of Aztec Adventure for some reason.
Okay, good save.
Yes.
Okay, 2 or 9?
2.
Both very easy, I think. Let's go with number 2.
Okay. I am pretty sure I know what game this is, even though it's a game I've never played, or at least never played the Genesis version. I think it's Echo the Dolphin, and I'm not sure because I only played the Sega CD version, which has an infinitely better soundtrack in my opinion. But I think this sounds like Echo. Am I sure? No, I am not.
Final answer?
Yes, though I'm not. This one could I could get this one wrong.
So your answer is Echo the Dolphin on
Yes.
the Mega Drive.
Yes, though I'm not completely sure.
SEGA.
Yes.
So close to a perfect score.
Oh,
So close to a perfect score.
damn it.
The correct answer is Echo the Dolphin.
Oh, okay.
Well done. Well done. Good job.
You're fooling me.
Yeah, half the challenge is handling the pressure. Number 9 is the final one.
Okay.
Shall we take a listen?
Let's go. I have no idea. You said it's an easy one, but I have no idea what song this is.
I think they're all easy. I
It-
have
it
the
could
answers
be.
right in front of me, so they're all easy for me.
This might be a game I've never played before, actually. Or at least not enough. I have no idea.
Do you want me to play it again?
Sure.
Let's take a listen again.
Okay, this is gonna sound kind of crazy, even though I'm pretty sure I'm wrong. But those drums sound like something Sega would make, like actual Sega, or maybe Yuzo Koshiro. In fact, they kind of remind me of the Sonic 3 drums or Sonic and Knuckle drums. Could it be that it's maybe no? But those don't sound those don't sound like a special stage from Sonic 3, I think, or do they? Oh damn it! Oh jeez. Jeez. This one's difficult. Okay, I am pretty sure I'm wrong, but I'm going to say Sonic 3. Maybe a special stage, but only entirely based on those drums.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm right with this. I'm pretty sure I'm wrong, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
So much for my perfect score.
This
Right.
I
Yes.
assumed this would be one of the easier ones,
Really? Okay, which one
actually,
was it?
because I know for sure that you've played this game.
What is this? I have no
This
idea.
is a stage with a lot of balloons.
A lot of balloons.
So the correct answer is Balloon Park from Sonic 3, which
Oh,
is
okay.
amazing.
Okay, that's pretty good.
10 for 10. Amazing. Perfect score.
I literally got there just because of the drums. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Like
This
the
is-
drums are the only
This
thing.
is a competition mode track, so it's one of the 2-player tracks
Oh.
stages. So not the main game, the main 1-player game. So
Okay.
it's a bit obscure in that way, but
Man, I'm really proud of myself now. Like
well
the drums,
done.
the
Very
drums,
good.
the drums. I'm like, oh, these drums. They sound like maybe Revenge of Shinobi or Sonic 3. That's how my mind kept going.
Okay, well done. So SEGA, you get a perfect score, and that means you get the SEGA Lounge seal of approval, which I will send to
Nice.
you shortly, because it is a real thing. People usually think it's not, but it is a real thing.
Oh.
Congratulations, and thank you for being such a good sport. But yeah,
Anytime.
well done. Okay, just
Yes?
a few final questions regarding your YouTube channel and whatnot. So, what can people expect from your channel in the coming weeks and months? Not sure if you have anything planned so far ahead, but what can people expect in the near future?
No, I'm laughing because I just wanted to answer like hardcore pornography. Sorry.
Stickers, trunk, retro corner,
Damn right. I'm changing its name to SEGA Corner. It's time. Okay, sorry.
I'm gonna keep
Sorry,
that in, by the way.
Oh, I hope you do. I hope you do. Okay. So, what can we expect? Well, because I sort of ran out of modern games for retro consoles, I've been going back to retro games, and I've mostly been going back to games that, in one way or another, have influenced my formative years. So just today I put out the Legacy of Kain Defiance review, which is a final game on the Legacy of Kain series, which was a series of review I started back in 2018, and only now that I launched the final video in that series. So whoops, kind of late there. Next, I'm working on a review of a PS1 game called ODT, which most people have never heard of. ODT stands for Or Die Trying. Terrible name, I know. It's the game is basically like a mix of Tomb Raider for the PS1 with RPG elements, survival horror elements, and all set in a steampunk world. So I think it was pretty unique for a '97 game or whatever. Yeah, it's one of those games nobody ever talks about. Like, I don't think there's even a full-blown review on YouTube. I searched for it. I could not find, like, the most I could find was, like, people pointing the camera at their television as they talked about the game and played it. But an actual review in what we consider a review on YouTube these days, there's not a single one. So I want to do that. I also have an interview lined up. I don't know if you know this, but there's a new NES simulator that turns every game into a 3D polygonal game.
Yeah, I learned about this last week.
Yeah, so I interviewed the developer behind that emulator, like so he can explain how is he making this, like how does this work exactly. So I'm also working on that. And I also want to work. I haven't started working on those yet, but they'll be coming up sometime this year. A couple of Dune themed video games. I mean, we have the movie coming out. I
Mm-hmm.
love the book. I love the book. I love the games. I even like the original movie. So I wanna do videos on those. Like I believe the original Dune. I don't know if you've ever played it. It's also on the Sega CD, not just on the PC.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe the original Dune is a completely unique game. There's no game like it before or since. Like
Okay.
there's nothing like it. Like imagine a game which mixes point and click adventure with Warhammer Total War, I suppose, or Total War game, I guess. Like, can you even imagine a mix of those genres?
Yeah.
Like, you can walk around cities and talk to people, or walk around your palace and talk to people, but then you also like command entire armies and invade like opposing lands and like or like mine spices for resources. But then again, you can also talk to people and you can also walk around and talk to people and you have a point and click inventory. And sometimes there's a few puzzles. Like there's absolutely no other game quite like it. It's completely
Mhm.
unique. So I
I've
want to talk
never
about
played
that.
it actually, so maybe
Well,
when you put up your videos about it, maybe I'll give it a try.
I would recommend the Sega CD. I would recommend the PC version, but if
Hmm.
you're more comfortable, the Sega CD version is not bad either.
Hmm. Awesome. Okay, so that and the kinky corner stuff as well. So that's what people can expect from.
Damn right, damn right. Oh, and I already see the Sega seal of approval.
Yes,
Sega Lounge seal
yes.
of approval. I mean,
Very good. It's an actual seal.
very
Uh,
pretty. Yes,
awesome. Sika, one more thing before you go. Two questions. One of them being
yes.
um, one of the things that I appreciate about your channel, and maybe I think almost certain how I found out about your channel.
Mm-hmm.
You've been covering those newer games on older systems.
Mm-hmm.
You've talked to developers. Something that I also like to do on the Sega Lounge. Have people on the show to talk about those newer games on older systems. Something that interests me a lot. But why do you think there is still both an audience for those kinds of games or those platforms, and
Mm-hmm.
also an interest from developers in making games for so old, uh, such older platforms actually, and maybe considering that not all people have access to these consoles,
Mm-hmm.
why is there such a strong interest still in making games for these consoles?
Well, that's well, this whole thing started when Watermelon launched Pier Solar, which for those who don't know, it's an RPG for the Mega Drive, launched in 2012, I believe, or 2010. I'm not sure now. And it's basically the game that kickstarted this fad of creating games for older hardware. But here's the thing. When that came out, I think people were kind of in awe that it existed at all. So a lot of people bought it, and it created interest for other developers to do the same. Because let's be honest, despite Watermelon completely going belly up with Peprium, the truth is they made a lot of money with Pure Solar. I mean, I don't know exactly how much, but from what I understand from my interviews, they made six digits at least. So that's pretty good for any developer. Like if you're an indie developer and you put a game on Steam, a lot of times you're lucky if you make it to four digits, to $1,000. So suddenly, a lot of devs might have realized, okay, wow, there's an audience for this, so I can also try this, and they did, and that creates a sort of how should I put this? A sort of vicious cycle in which developers want to put out games because apparently there's a market, and it also generates buzz and interest because people want to see more games for the Mega Drive. So that's the developer side. There's people interested in them, and a lot of them are Mega Drive fans. Like, okay, I know the way I described it, it makes it sound like the devs are opportunists but they're not. It's just they've discovered that there is this audience, this market, or this niche that they didn't know existed before, and there's not a whole lot of competition, especially because they don't have to compete with AAAs. Whereas if you're a developer and put your game on Steam or whatever, let's be honest, you're not gonna make it very far competing with Electronic Arts or Ubisoft or Activision. It can be difficult. So, so they go for, in my opinion, a smaller but easier, but maybe not as competitive market. But a lot of them will probably also grew up with the system or grew up with retro systems, and they like the idea of recreating games on the hardware that they played when they were kids. So there's also that embellishment aspect, which I'm sure is also a very good motivator for creating games for retro consoles.
Mm-hmm.
As for the gamer side, well, the issue with a lot of modern games is that they can be so long. Like, let's be honest, the people who are playing these games on retro consoles, they're like in their late 20s or mid 30s, sometimes 40s, maybe even more than that. They're adults, and we adults don't have that much time to play games anymore. And when a lot of games these days are like, oh, 100 hours investment or 200 hours, your Skyrims, your Breath of the Wilds, and sometimes you just want something simpler. Give me a 2D game, give me Sonic jumping, give me a Contra, just give me something a bit easier. And the fact that you're also playing on a console you grew up with is also kind of cool. It's nostalgic, not just because it's like a recreation of said console, like the Mega Drive Mini or the Super Nintendo Mini, but it is the actual console.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the fact that it's also really cool that you're seeing new games for a system that you thought was dead, and those new games will often have modern game design sensibilities, which, let's be honest, in 20 or 30 years, game design has evolved a lot. So when you play, for example, something like Tanglewood for the Mega Drive, and this is something I mentioned in my review, like there's no other game like Tanglewood on the Mega Drive. You might say Prince of Persia or Flashback, but game design wise, they're very different.
Yeah.
Game design wise, Tanglewood feels very modern, feels very recent. Like when you're playing Tanglewood, it feels like you're playing Limbo, for example. I don't know if you've ever played Limbo.
Yeah.
It's a very modern approach to game design, and it works. It's different, and it also helps stand out. It also helps Tanglewood stand out from its competitors within the Mega Drive space. Its competitors being the old games, of course, the ones we played before. On the other hand, you also have games which really try to push the system, like Xenocrisis, which is a really pretty game, a very well-sounding game, and it pushes a lot of sprites and bullets. So like it's really cool to see how modern devs would approach their development cycles or game design philosophies onto a hardware that was never designed to accommodate to today's style of game design. I mean, let's be honest, the Mega Drive is based on an arcade board, so it was made to pretty much create arcade games. So I think it's a really unique it creates really unique experiences on the console, and I think people sense that. They can sense that, okay, this is a pretty interesting approach to a game, and especially to a game on the Mega Drive. Like we have Demons of Esteborg, which is basically a Metroidvania in development for the Mega Drive. You have, like I mentioned, Xenocrisis, a great shooter for top-down shooter for the Mega Drive, which looks and plays way better, in my opinion, than Super Smash TV on the console. And then you have Tensor, which is amazing. Tensor is like a mix of Strider and a shmup, and the game is amazing. It's
Tensor
like,
is amazing, yeah.
if Tensor has probably become one of my all-time favorite Mega Drive games. Like, not even modern ones, just
so fast-paced.
I love it.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing like it on the Mega Drive. Like, you can mention Strider. you can mention shmups, but there's no game like Tensor. Tensor mixes both concepts into one,
Mm-hmm.
and it's amazing. I love that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think people. You make a good point. People kind of feel with these new games, get a feel of what could have happened if instead of getting the Saturn, the PlayStation, the Xbox, what could have happened if we kept those systems, those 16-bit systems or 8-bit systems if they had a longer life cycle, like instead of 10 years almost, what would have happened if we had the Mega Drive for 20 years, right? So what could developers come up with to push
that would be cool
the
to
hardware,
see.
right? So it's kind of what's happening right now.
It is.
Over 20 years later, what are people creating still for these old consoles?
I just want to see like a polygonal game for the console. I'd love to see that. Like, I don't know if you've seen, like, the issue is, I actually, now that I think about that, I should do this. Like, review games that modern ports for the console that will never be sold because they don't have the rights to it. Like, have you played the Wolfenstein 3D port for the Mega Drive?
Nope.
It's super good. Like, it has no right being as good as it is, in my opinion. like I was reading the development cycle of the guy who made the port. The guy's amazing. Like, he discovered that you could force the Mega Drive into a resolution which was not designed for. So basically, you could like use some exploits so that the console could do some things that the developers did not intended. So basically, by having the console run at a lower resolution, and then applying a few other tricks, he's been able to create a pretty impressive port of Wolfenstein 3D, and in my opinion, graphically, it looks better than the Super Nintendo port.
Mm-hmm.
Like, awesome. It's really impressive, and remember, the Super Nintendo actually has hardware sprite scaling and hardware sprite rotation. So the Super Nintendo in theory, has the edge. Should have the edge, but it doesn't. This port is amazing.
It's a classic case of how people use the limitations. Limitations spark creativity, right?
Agree.
That's what happened with music, especially on the Mega Drive. And that's what keeps happening with these newer games, I think. Because now people know that if they try hard, not that they didn't back in the day, but back in the day the companies moved on into different hardware. So now devs and these younger people also find these creative ways of pushing past those limitations and coming up with awesome stuff.
Although the developers, they do have a lot of advantages that they didn't have back then. Like, you have the internet. You have the internet to help you code games, help you search for solutions to problems you find. I also know
there's a strong community behind this.
Exactly what I was going to say. Yes, almost every Sega developer you'll see this day making games for it. They're all on the same Discord channel, for example, and they're all constantly helping each other out. So that also creates a sense of community, and it makes the games better as a result because they're helping each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good point. Awesome.
Oh, and also, sorry, a lot of projects back then had really tight deadlines. Like, a lot of games had to be made in like 6 months or 8 months, whatever. Whereas now the developers can take like a year or 2, maybe 3 years. Just basically working on the game at their own speed and at their own pace.
And some of these games are just hobbies as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So there is no deadline.
Indeed.
So that's an advantage. Even for music, I'm actually one of our upcoming guests is a very well-known and loved composer of music for Sega games in the 90s, and he had to deal with very tight deadlines at times for iconic games even. And they were like, you have X amount of weeks or Y amount of months
Yeah,
to do
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
I want more. No, no more. Just this. Do it. So
That's the feeling that I got from a lot from reading a lot of interviews on Sega 16 and whatnot.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay, so that brings us to our final question, which is
Ooh,
actually quite appropriate. I always ask this question of my guests.
okay.
Do you remember? Actually, we didn't have that marketing campaign here, but in the US, the Genesis was advertised as having blast processing.
Genesis does. I guess the less
Yeah,
processing. Yes,
the blast
yes.
processing, which was not a real thing. But let's say, for the sake of this question, blast processing is indeed something that makes things more powerful. So, if you could add blast processing to anything in the world, what would it be and why?
I would probably add it to the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive, so it would have twice the blast processing and twice as much speed with Sonic, and so it would leave Super Nintendo in the dust twice as fast.
Ooh.
That's right. We're going super speed here. We're going Sonic speed.
Genesis does. Uh,
You know, you know, I, I joke, but I've actually seen people mod their Mega Drives to run at twice the clock rate, and it actually produces some really interesting results. Like, that game Hard Driving,
mhm.
it actually becomes playable. No, it actually runs super smooth when you overclock the console to twice the frame rate, so it becomes playable. Like, now you have a polygonal game on the Mega Drive, and it runs fine.
Awesome. Yeah.
So there, like I wouldn't be surprised if this became like a thing in the future. If this trend of making retro games for new consoles continues,
The
the game
the thing
overclocking the
about
console.
the thing about hard driving is it was so cool that it
Hmm.
was hard driving.
Yeah,
No
that's
no
true.
G. So
That's true.
so cool it was really bad. But
That's
yeah.
true.
Awesome. That's a great answer. Stika, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Anytime, anytime.
People should check out the description, the show notes, all the links to the YouTube channel, the socials, all of that. You have a Patreon as well, right?
Yes, I do. I have a Patreon,
Do you
and
want to
yeah, go
briefly
ahead.
mention what that's about?
Well, the issue is when I started, like, I know it may not seem like it, but running a YouTube channel is actually more expensive than it seems. Like when I started out, it was basically me using my phone as a microphone, and like capturing video on those those very very questionable 30 euro or $30 HDMI to SCART converters. Yeah, that was basically my initial investment, like 30 euro, like 30 for one of those converters, and then making videos using my phone as a microphone.
Mhm.
But like, I was never too satisfied with the quality. Even today, I still see a lot of things that can be improved with my videos. And but the issue is improving I've got to a point where if I want to improve my channel further, it's going to require tools that are expensive. Like, I already bought a microphone, so I sound better and I don't have to use my phone. I bought an XRGB mini frame micer, which for those of you in the know, they're super expensive, but the video capture quality improved substantially. I bought the Elgato, which allows me to capture directly from the Elgato, but it's also expensive. Right now, I want to buy a camera for the segments in which I film myself or film the games, so that they look better on the video. Because right now, I'm still using my phone for that. And as many of you might notice, my live footage does not look the best because phone cameras, yeah, they can film me, but they're not made for that. Let's be honest here. I want to get a better microphone than the one I currently have. Like, I still see a lot of things that need improvement, but the issue is it's getting to a point where the pieces that I need are getting expensive. Like, an actual decent microphone will cost you at least 3 digits, but then you also need a sound converter, which is another 3 digits. An actual good camera, I'm going to assume I haven't searched prices yet, but I'm going to assume it's at least 250 or 300 for actually good quality. So it's just, it may not seem like it, but after a while, these things starting up. If you had like the price of the camera, price of the microphone, the soundboard, plus the other things that I've already gotten to improve the channel, I just realized at one point, yeah, I'm gonna need help for this, or else it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, makes sense. So people can get some nice rewards, right?
Yes,
Some
depending on
exclusive
the
content.
Yes, actually, exclusive content. I was kind of adamant about that because I'm like, I didn't want to exclude people who don't pay me on Patreon. Like the concept behind my Patreon was, it's not to punish those who don't pay, it's to reward those who do. So that's why I don't put any exclusive content on the Patreon. What they do get is some extra goodies. Like, for example, I've designed T-shirts for based on jokes or in jokes on some of my past episodes. Like, for example, there's the Golden X episode, which I really suggest you watch. It's hilarious in my opinion, and I made a T-shirt based on that. I have a T-shirt in which you save the world with a team of 6 transgender Sean Connerys, which is based on my Pool of Radiance review. I've also created several pen USBs, and if I send them to you, they actually have like my channel's theme song, but the theme song is in Mega Drive, Master System, and NES formats, and Super Nintendo formats as well. So basically, if you put those files on an EverDrive and then you put them on the console, it's going to run the theme song.
Awesome.
So like you can actually if you want to actually put my theme song on an EverDrive, and then if you just want to listen to some music instead of playing a game, you're going to listen to my theme song on your Mega Drive, and it's going to run exactly as it should.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So
yeah, that's pretty much
some nifty rewards for people who are willing
I think it's
to
cool.
support the channel, right?
Yeah, I think it's cool. Like I said, I want to reward those who support instead of punishing those who don't. That's why I didn't want to create exclusive content for the Patreon.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. That's interesting. Very good concept. So people, check out the link in the description of the podcast for info on how you can support SEGA's Retro, or maybe in the future, Kinky Corner on YouTube. Stay tuned for that, for more news on that. SEGA, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Anytime.
And please come back. We'll have to talk a little bit more. I could go on for hours. If
we do talk more, I'm going for a 2020 score on your roulette game.
Yes. Let's keep tabs, and so we're currently at 10. So next time we'll start with 11. So yeah.
Oh, I am going for the high score.
Awesome. Okay, thank you very much.
Anytime.
Be sure to check out SEGA's Retro Corner on YouTube, and definitely check out that Golden Axe video. You really can be a dragon that is riding a dragon and shoots dragons. Gold. Thank you for listening to episode 116 of the SEGA Lounge. I do appreciate all the support that you guys have shown me. One of the things that I tried to add to this new podcast format are those SEGA-related fake ads in the middle of the show. You might have noticed we haven't had one of those in a couple of weeks, and that's mostly because I've been incredibly busy and tired. Work, family, the podcast, my live radio SEGA show, Mondays at 8 p.m. UK time, by the way, tune in. They have all been keeping me very busy, and I'm finding myself having less time to come up with these ads. I apologize for that, but I want to ask you, the listeners, for suggestions of funny or clever ads for SEGA-related products or in-game places. If you have any ideas, send me an email to kc@radiosega.net or DM me on Twitter @TheSegaLounge. If you're not subscribed to the show yet, now's the perfect time to do it. If you want an easier way to find the show in whatever platform you want, just head over to our official website, thesegalounge.com, and you'll find all relevant links. And if you're a Sega fan and know other Sega fans you think would enjoy the podcast, why not tell them about the Sega Lounge? Spread the love, people. I have a few exciting interviews lined up for the coming weeks, so please come back next time for another great episode. For now, it's time to close the doors of the lounge. Enjoy your week and stay safe. Until next time, bye-bye. The Sega Lounge, hosted by me, KC, and part of Radio Sega's network of live shows and podcasts. Theme song and incidental music by OSC. Find them at opussciencecollective.bandcamp.com. Got any suggestions? Drop me an email to kc@radiosega.net. Follow us on Twitter @TheSegaLounge. You can find previous episodes of the show by going to thesegalounge.com and wherever fine podcasts are downloaded.